Hello everyone, it's Danzie. Before we get started, fair warning that this video is a pretty critical one, so if you're someone who doesn't like to hear negative feedback about the show, that's absolutely okay. But just a heads up that these reviews might not be for you, and I encourage you to check out some of my other videos instead. With that out of the way, let's talk about episode 4. Tyrion actively trying to benefit the people he governs. What? But him just sitting around drinking was so interesting. All I can say is thank God, and you know what? I really liked a lot of the stuff they brought up here. Missandei and Grey Worm make valid points about how you can't trust the kind of people that have so little respect for human life, and even if you could, 7 years just isn't fast enough when it comes to people's safety and freedom. But Tyrion also makes a valid point that you can't change a system that's been in place for thousands of years overnight, and forcing their hand is most likely just gonna make things worse. It presents two very good arguments, leaving you as the viewer to think and decide for yourself what their best course of action is. I can't remember the last time the show tried to intellectually challenge its audience like this. The only thing I'd have liked to have seen was Tyrion actually explaining how he's going to enforce the 7-year policy. Literally, his entire plan consisted of get rid of slavery, here's some hookers. But honestly, I'm not going to be too hard on it because this was overall great and such a welcome change. It makes me all the more pissed off about Tyrion's previous scenes. If this is what they're capable of, then why did they make us sit through all of that? I actually liked just about everything in Vaes Dothrak this week, and even appreciated their efforts for Daenerys to escape her situation without being rescued. That was cool. But that being said, we really need to talk about that ending. I saw a lot of articles on Monday claiming that Daenerys' actions were empowering and clever, but people seem to neglect that in order for Daenerys to come out on top in this scene, the Dothraki had to suddenly become idiots. Hell, even the laws of science had to be bent in order for this to work. There's no reason the Khals couldn't just walk over and snap her neck before she had time to push more braziers over. And why would these people bow to her? She just lit up one of their sacred buildings with their leaders inside of it. No one was questioning this? There's no way they wouldn't be, because how would they even understand the context of what just happened so quickly? If buildings are this combustible, someone could have just accidentally knocked over a brazier, or this guy could have started the fire. I feel like they had a good idea in here somewhere, but execution kinda matters. This also really takes away the impact of the season 1 finale. That scene was special because it was a freakish anomaly that she wasn't burned. It means more when it's a one-time thing, not an X-Men ability she can use whenever she wants. Guys, it kinda takes away the cinematic punch of Jon leaving the wall if he doesn't, leave the wall. Like, yeah, Jon, I'm sure both Mormont and Ned would be really proud of you for abandoning the people who need you most because of a loophole, but then sticking around to take up space, eat their food, and invite whoever you want in to hang out as a guest. While I like that Jon is having an emotional dilemma, his internal conflict shouldn't be, should I fight for Winterfell or not? It should be, should I fight for Winterfell because for the first time ever I'm actually able to? Or, should I stay and fight the bigger threat because almost no one else in the realm seems to care about it? And legal technicality aside, I still made a promise to my brothers. And I'm not at all saying that it doesn't make complete sense for him to end up choosing his family, but even taking his resurrection into account, his blatant dismissal of the White Walkers is a huge insult to the very heart of his character, not to mention his convictions and intelligence. I just don't buy that the Jon established over the last 5 seasons would act this way. However, the big saving grace to the scenes at the Wall this week was both the reunion and Sansa getting her best writing since season 4, which, just like with Tyrion, makes me hate her first betrayal this season even more. If there's one thing this episode did, it was remind me how much I missed Marjorie. I love how she nodded and smiled through the High Sparrow's speech, but is clearly holding firm in the face of his bullshit. I don't really get why the High Sparrow was giving her a lecture on the misuse of wealth, though. The Tyrells, and Marjorie especially, were some of the only Highborns shown caring even a little about the citizens of King's Landing. If greedy lords are what you're after, then she seems like the wrong person to start with. In fact, it's never really been all that clear what the High Sparrow ultimately wants. He says that he has the best interest of the small folk at heart, but he seems more preoccupied with slut-shaming royals and arresting gay people, which doesn't really help the poor in any way. They seem to want to pass him off as deep and spiritual with these long-winded monologues, but when you scratch the surface even a little, it feels like he's just there to unorganically bully the Tyrells and Lannisters. And speaking of a certain Tyrell and Lannister, what exactly changed to make the small council see that they need to group up and take action against the Faith? I mean, Pycelle and Mace are idiots, so I get that, but Kevan and Olenna are some of the most politically savvy people on this show. Did they really need to be reminded that Lancel is still brainwashed, or that Marjorie being punished was an obvious possibility? And if they were just going to come to this conclusion anyway, then last week's scene was 100% unneeded filler. Okay, what? You're seriously telling me that Davos only just now thought to ask, or didn't already figure out on his own, what happened to Stannis? Then why did he look so devastated when Melisandre arrived back at the Wall last season? Did he just step on a Lego at that exact moment? I know that in the grand scheme of things it's a small thing to focus on, but this is both a retcon and an absolute slap in the face to Davos' character, who has already suffered by far the most when it comes to writing this season. Really? Really? There's nothing you can do with Ramsay other than just accentuate how evil he is. With his one interesting quality of seeking approval from his father gone, his sole personality is now just that he's a generic psychopath. I don't think anyone is asking for a massively in-depth character when it comes to Ramsay, but he literally has the complexity of a cartoon villain at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if next episode he cuts the legs off a kitten and bludgeons an old lady to death. I realize I'm getting up in arms and sounding extremely cynical over this, but this scene is just one example of a much bigger problem. Ramsay existing as nothing more than a flat antagonist for the Starks to try and defeat is so far beneath the intended moral intricacy of the show. I think this could have been my favorite episode of the season so far, because just about every plotline progressed in some way, and many characters that were just sitting on their hands before are now getting up and showing that they have agency in the story this season. However, inconsistencies were out in droves, and the writers continue to struggle with characterizations. But that's it for now. Personally, I found that even though there were some good moments, it was bogged down by too many little problems adding up. But let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.